Captain's Log Supplemental. This is the third time now that I have been up for a court-martial. Once again, for the third time, beat the charges, no problem. Yes, I do keep violating the Prime Directive, but I have a firm personal stance of I don't deal with fucking Nazis. So, every time we come across a planet that has a Nazi problem, I go ahead and take care of it. And I have my crew do so, and they don't seem to mind. So, you know what? Until that exception is actually written into the Starfleet Code, I guess I'm just going to be in violation from here on out.
Welcome back, everybody, to Captain's Log Supplemental. I'm Chris, and as always, am joined by my friend Stanford.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello.
As well as our producer, Mariah.
Hi there.
How we all doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris just pulled that off flawlessly. Nicely done, sir.
Really good.
So I was trying not to think about it. That's it.
I was going to say. Don't think about it.
Not too bad. On Saturday, I was down in Gaithersburg with Mariah and Liam for a book festival. Gaithersburg
Cool.
is a town kind of near DC, in Maryland.
Sure.
And we went there to go see one Mr. John Scalzi, right?
Oh.
And so we went and saw him talk. Fun guy. He's talking about a book I hadn't read yet because it had come out like the week before, so I haven't like read it yet, but it's on our list now. But afterwards he was doing a book signing. Now
When the Moon Hits Your Eye
is the name of the book he just released, yeah.
Like a big pizza pie?
Yep.
That's amore.
I believe the premise is the moon suddenly becomes cheese. Go.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
There you go, John Scalzi. Anyways, so afterwards he's signing. So we got Liam really liked Kaiju Preservation Society, which is a good book.
This is a very good book.
And so we bought Liam a copy of it. I'm like, yeah, man, we'll go get this signed. And first of all, Liam's like, it seems rude to ask him to sign stuff. I'm like, no, Liam. Like,
That's why he's there.
it is rude to ask someone to sign stuff like while they're eating dinner or like like out in public. But like, this is literally a signing. Like, that's what he's there to do, sir. So Liam and I waited in line while Mariah, and then we also saw like Cassidy, former guest of the pod, Cassidy. Cassidy and his wife and their kid were kind of wandering around because they're not going to want to stand in a half an hour line so that I can geek out with John Scalzi. But we get to the front of the line, and super nice guy. And I was like, hi, and we give him the book, and Liam's like, this is my favorite book, and he's like, oh, that's really great. I thanked him for Lock-In because it's got a lot of like disability awareness in it that like you don't see a lot of. Another good book, Lock-In, great book. Then, and this is the high I've been riding for the last 24 hours. He said, I love your shirt. And I was very specifically wearing that shirt because I knew I was going to see him. So I feel very seen, like literally. Because it's
like the shirt.
I just realized that I was thinking about trying to pull up a picture of it. Hold on one second. Kirby Molotov.
You know we like to just describe shirts verbally on this podcast.
Yeah.
Eat the rich. So it is a shirt of Kirby, like the like the little pink like Nintendo character. And he is holding a Molotov cocktail while wearing I don't see a good picture. Maybe I'll take a picture of my own shirt. He's holding a Molotov cocktail with and he's got a top hat and a monocle, and then behind him is like a rainbow that says "Eat the Rich" on it.
Fantastic.
John Scalzi famously not a big fan of billionaires, so they tend to meet very bad ends in his books. So I was like, oh, I'm going to wear this shirt. I bet John Scalzi will like it. And I was fucking right. I felt so, because Mariah was giving me shit in the morning when I put that shirt on. And I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing this shirt because I think John Scalzi will like it. And I was fucking right.
I mean, it sounds like an awesome shirt, so I would definitely buy that shirt.
Now, I am full of myself enough to think,
No.
A, he definitely is going to remember me. And B, I'm confident that he liked our interaction, so I am going to send him an email and see if he would like to come on our podcast and talk about his book, Red Shirts.
Oh, Jesus.
Because
So
Red
what
Shirts is Star Trek.
Red
It's
Shirts
true.
is Star
Yeah.
Trek.
Oh,
You
man.
also, I want you to tell the Kaiju Preservation Society story.
Yeah, so I'm listening to this book with Liam. This was like a couple years ago, so he's got to be like 9, maybe 10. We're listening to this book now. John Scalzi writes a lot of swear words in some of his characters' dialogue. I also swear a lot, so Liam is used to it. We taught him at an early age, like there are some things that adults get to do that children do not get to do. Saying some words is one of those things. Just like driving a car or staying up too late. You know, I get to say fuck and you do not. But anyway, so at one point the phrase jizz thermos happened in the book. And I look back at Liam because we're in the car driving back from like Harrisburg, and I'm like, "Hey, bud, that's not a good word. Don't say that word." And Liam goes, Liam goes, "What, thermos?" And I'm like, "No, bud, the other word." Oh man!
Of which he then immediately followed by asking
He
you what
didn't
that
actually.
was. Correct.
He didn't. That's not how he goes.
What?
Yeah,
How?
He's
I
actually
know.
really good. He has been trained throughout his life because he'll be like, you can't watch that movie. And Liam will go, well, what's the movie about? And Matthew's like, I literally can't tell you because I just told you can't watch the movie. What are you doing?
Chris,
So Liam's
this
used to it.
child, this
Go ahead.
child can start to eat a cupcake, and when he's done and full, he will stop eating the cupcake.
Yeah. It's. Mm,
Yeah, he
His
has more
self-control is
self-control than anyone I've ever seen ever.
that's just wrong.
He'll stop eating halfway through a cookie or whatever. He's like, I'm done. Like, what the fuck are you
if
talking
he's done,
about?
he's done. He will stop.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, it was a good time.
Fantastic.
Gaithersburg
Yeah.
Book Festival. Good time.
All right. Well, for those who are uninitiated in our podcast, we are marching through Star Trek in chronological order. We are in Discovery now, getting into it. A few episodes in. We are... by the way, as always, please rate, review, subscribe. We are 5-star men, 5 stars at all times. Send emails, do all those things. We appreciate it.
5-star people.
Yes, 5-star persons.
Yeah, well, they
5-star
can't.
humans.
They can't rate us individually, so we have to include Mariah. Otherwise, we would be like 4-star men, and she would be a 5-star producer.
I mean, some days I feel like more of a 3-star. It just kind of depends.
3-star producer or 3-star men?
Me, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so today's episode is the 5th episode of season 1, Choose Your Pain, which they did continue the trend of using it multiple times in this episode.
Now I'm kind of upset that they didn't manage to slide the butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry into the dialogue of the last episode.
That was a little bit more difficult to organically work in there, I would think.
Yeah, no, you don't think someone's just going to come into a room like, hey, how are you? The butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry. Anyways, it's going to be nice today.
You'd think that. However, in this episode, at one point, What's-Her-Face is reading poetry, and the other episode, Burnham was quoting
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland,
yeah.
so I wouldn't put it past him. Oh, man. Anyway, so we start in a Burnham dream sequence. We just kind of get this like hazy image of various rooms on Discovery before we come back to kind of focus on Burnham and engineering, experimenting on herself in like the tardigrade chamber. As I said, dream sequence, she wakes up to Tilly just snoring away in the bed in the same room with her. We then cut to Burnham explaining the tardigrade is not doing so hot to Culber, who is going to run some tests to kind of see if he can quantify kind of what's going on with the tardigrade. We then get a scene with Lorca, who meets with Admiral Cornwell. The Admiral wants to duplicate Discovery's spore drive. They kind of go over all kind of the successes they've had with Discovery kind of running hit-and-run missions behind Klingon lines. But she does order Lorca to kind of rein in the use of the spore drive so they don't kind of burn it out.
Yeah, the Admiral's completely in the right here.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Like-
I mean, Lorca's a
Well-
dick.
So, for this point, yes, but she's also like, we need to enslave more tardigrades.
Mhm.
Also that, yeah. There was a like, oh, don't abuse it, but also we need to get more jump monkeys.
And this actor does a really good job with this role. Like, this is a good character, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We then get to where Tilly is meeting with Burnham at the cafeteria.
Every time Tilly shows up, my note is, Tilly is the best.
She is.
Tilly is kind of trying to talk her way into a relationship with Burnham constantly.
Yeah, Tilly's like, it's okay. I understand you don't want to be my friend because I'm difficult to be friends with. And Burnham's like, no, Tilly, it's not you. And Tilly's like, oh my God, I'd love to hear about how it's not me.
Yeah, she does hit her with the old "it's not you, it's me" line. And she just kind of goes into why she's so stressed right now with the tardigrade and everything, and her guilt about it and whatnot. We cut to Lorca, kind of shooting shit into his eyes.
Ew, he like takes a shot right in the fucking retina, like, or not the retina, like in the pupil. It's like, ugh.
Yep. Yeah. And he is surprised by Admiral Cornwall walking in and immediately blaring the lights in his eyes.
Yeah. And he fucking yells at her too. So I didn't get it from this episode. I don't know if we ever actually do, but do we understand them to be friends before he came over from the mirror universe?
Well, that I'm not sure about. Because she does in this scene mention that they are friends, but yeah, I don't know on that count.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, because if they were friends before, because she seems to know he's kind of a dick. So like, if they were friends before, does that mean that like regular universe Lorca was also kind of a dick?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that would
she
be funny.
seems on. Yeah. Was like, when exactly did he, like, how long ago did he come over?
I don't have a firm, it was at least a couple years, but I don't have a firm concept of when that was. But I actually don't hate the relationship between these two characters. I think that these two actors play off each other pretty well. And like the idea that like in formal settings, like one is a captain and one is an admiral, and there's a very clear distinction. But like as soon as they're in private, like they do have a friendship that supersedes their rank, and like they kind of handle it that way is very cool.
I was really chuckling when she goes, "Cut the crap, Gabriel."
Yeah.
She gives him shit for taking Burnham on. And he pretty much says, tough titties. It's my ship. We then cut to Lorca on a shuttle. Where was he going to?
He was heading back to the Discovery from this like briefing or conference he had with Admiralty. He was at like some kind of Starfleet like base, and he was going back to Discovery. Now, I just wondered why they didn't just take the whole fucking Discovery over there. Why the shuttle? Like, what was the point of that?
It's because this is this is the abduction shuttle.
That happens all the time in Next Generation too. I remember like somebody's going on a shuttle somewhere, and it's like, why not just the whole ship? Anyway, the Klingon ship kind of jumps out of warp right on top of them, and abducts them.
I like
they
how
board the ship, and the pilot guy immediately gets stabbed.
Well, I like how Lorca takes up this tactical defensive position next to the door, but he makes the extra stand like in the middle of the fucking floor. Like, you're gonna take the first shot. It's gonna suck.
Yeah, but dude, like Lorca didn't even shoot his
sacrifice I'm willing
gun.
to make.
Yeah.
He just immediately drops the rifle and then goes in for the double punch.
There was some double punching in this fucking episode.
Yeah, there was. So they kill poor pilot guy and capture Lorca. Cut to intro, which I was not prepared for because it was like a good amount into the episode.
My note here is, man, these cold opens are getting long as hell.
Yeah, like several scenes happened before the intro popped in.
I've decided that the worst part of the opening is that really contrived like Sistine Chapel gloves moment. Like it's such a fucking stupid part of this intro.
Yeah. Well, we cut back to Discovery where the Admiral is briefing Saru on the capture of Lorca, which she knows all about apparently. She seemed to have very good information on that because she even knew the pilot was killed. But she orders.
And then Saru suggests like a handful of things that obviously Starfleet would have already done.
Right.
It's like, fucking dude, come on. Like, move to the next step.
Yeah. She orders Saru to kind of go on a mission to free him, to make sure he doesn't spill any of, Starfleet secrets about the spore drive and whatnot. Just in time for Saru's threat ganglia to go off once again as Burnham walks onto the bridge. After Saru kind of outlines his plan, they're going to do all these jumps to track down Lorca. Burnham informs Saru about the tardigrade's deterioration. Saru is mostly like, I don't care.
Which, I get why Lorca doesn't care. I even get why maybe that admiral doesn't care. I don't get why Saru, knowing his character, is having trouble being compassionate towards the creature that might be sentient but is being forced to do a job. Like,
I know.
Forced subservience is kind of Saru's whole thing, right?
Right. Yeah, his species, yep. But yeah, so Saru asks after Burnham leaves, Saru asks the computer to list the most decorated Starfleet officers. We get a little Archer and Pike's name on the list.
Yeah, I've got the whole list right here
Archer.
because I took that fucking screenshot.
Yeah, it was Archer, Pike, Giorgio. Who else was on there?
Matthew Decker. Do we know who that guy's from?
I don't recall that name.
He's from the first movie.
He is from the first movie, that's correct. And then Robert April is actually the real Easter egg here. Do we know who Robert April is?
That does sound familiar for some reason.
Wasn't he the captain of Enterprise before Pike?
He was, yes. The reason that you both remember that, actually, is probably from Strange New Worlds, because he's at, Una's testimony. Yeah. Remember that this came out before Strange New Worlds. So, do you know what this is a reference to?
What do you mean?
It's the animated series.
Whoa.
That character showed up in the animated series. And yes, he was the captain of the Enterprise before Pike.
Interesting.
Yeah, so before Strange New Worlds brought the character back as well, this little Easter egg here made brought the character back from the animated series from 69 or whatever.
Gotcha. So anyway, Saru wants to emulate these famous captains, these decorated captains. So he asks what qualities they have. There's some funny computer voice lines again where they talk about eliminating.
Well, and it's funny, first of all, the computer lists the qualities of a captain, and it's like bravery and dedication and self-sacrifice, and it lists 7 or 8 things. I'm like, Archer only has self-sacrifice. It's the only one of those he has. But then Saru's like, okay, computer, so how should I go about being a good captain? And the computer's like, well, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that, but here's an option. You could kill somebody.
Yeah.
Right, because Saru is like, I have this difficulty thing that's causing me problems. Well, the computer's like, you should just get rid of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you like me to make you a gun right now? Because I can do that.
I will 3D print that shit right now.
Can you replicate a phaser?
So the answer to that question is yes. But it's never actually been done on show. However, people in dialogue have said that replicators have been locked out from making phasers and shit.
Right, yeah.
But yes, the answer is yes, it can happen.
Yeah. So after this scene, we cut to the Klingon ship with Lorca, and we get our first introduction to Mud. He makes his first appearance as in the same cell that Lorca is. Maybe cell's not the right word. Holding area. It seems very large and spacious.
Yeah, it's a cargo. Well, I guess this is a prison ship, so I guess it is a cell. It's just a big one.
Yeah.
Dude,
Rain was a great.
Rainn Wilson.
Yeah, Rainn Wilson was a great pick for Mud. Yeah, he does such a good job with this.
He's fantastic.
Character.
So yeah, Mud informs Lorca sassily about where they are. He also bullshits Lorca about how he ended up there and his past and everything. For those that don't know, Mud is a con artist. So he's always lying.
And keep in mind that this Mud is pre-TOS Mud.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's down on his luck, but you know that he's going to A, survive, and B, eventually, kind of find a fortune again.
Right. So some random Starfleet dude groans on the floor before the Klingons bust in, and we get our title reference here.
He says the thing.
He says the thing, choose your pain. Bud immediately points to groany Starfleet guy, who proceeds to get the absolute shit kicked out of him.
I believe
and
he
then
is straight up killed. Yeah.
They curb stomp him.
Oh,
At the
They
end,
curb
yeah.
stomp him to death. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, he doesn't have a good time. Mudd then explains that they can choose to take the beating themselves or force it on one of their cellmates. This is something the Klingons do to make sure they don't, bond while they're in prison and escape together, or, whatever. Back on Discovery, Burnham tries to butter up Stamets with Culber in tow, so he can inform him of the tardigrade's condition. Then Culber gets. Stamets is like, I know how good I am. What do you need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Dreamy's funny as fuck through this whole sequence.
Culber then proceeds to actually explain the situation as to what's going on. And then Stamets kind of like dismisses him, which
Yeah,
I
he's
thought
kind
was
of
weird.
a dick to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Where was I?
Although Dreamy, obviously used to this, is like, well, I got shit to do anyways. Which actually,
Yeah.
this dialogue here is the first moment I realized that Dr. Dreamy is not actually the CMO of the ship.
Oh, he's not?
No, he says the
is?
CMO needs, he says, I have to do an Andorian
Oh.
tonsillectomy because the CMO is busy with somebody else. I actually don't know who the CMO is. I am obviously not the first person to have this issue because there is actually a specific call out on the Memory Alpha page where it's like Dr. Culver specifically says he's not the CMO here. So obviously somebody has had this like argument with somebody else. And so it's like come up on the Memory Alpha page. But like, yeah, he was assisting the CMO with an Andorian tonsillectomy.
Yeah,
he
I
is
do recall
not.
that line, yeah.
He is not the CMO.
Yeah.
Weird.
It is weird
So-
because like he's the only doctor you ever get to know in this show. So like it's weird that he's not the main guy.
So yeah, but after Culber leaves, we get like kind of I didn't quite understand the flow of this dialogue between Burnham and Stamets at this point, where she's basically saying, the tardigrade's having this issue, we gotta fix it, and then Stamets is like, well, it's your fucking fault.
Right.
Like,
That's the part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have in my notes here. I'm like, why aren't you blaming the Glenn guy who invented the nipple clamps? Like it's not Burnham's fault.
Right. But like even if she did invent it, like what are we doing here? Like just she presenting the problem so you can help fix it together.
Right.
And he just kind of deflects weirdly, but eventually seems to kind of realize they need to do something to fix the issue. We then cut back to the Klingon ship where we meet Tyler Ash for the first time, who obviously, as we spoiled already in our show, is actually Voh in disguise as a human.
I don't know if this is an intentional decision by the show, but Ash's uniform looks entirely too pristine for having been on this prison ship for 7 months.
7 months, yeah.
And like we know the truth that he hasn't actually been a prisoner for 7 months or whatever.
Right.
But like his uniform looks better than Lorca's almost. Like it looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. He says he was out of rotation, which is why he wasn't there earlier, whatever that means, I guess. He says he's been there since the Battle of the Binary Star. Lorca does seem suspicious about him at first, and then he drops the line. It's like, oh yeah, the captain keeps me as a sex slave.
Yeah, basically. So, yep.
She
and
says,
then
no.
and then Lorca's pretty much like, oh, let me tell you about this super secret awesome ship I'm part of.
Right. So yeah, Tyler gets Lorca to start talking about Discovery, but is interrupted by Mudd's little spider pet stealing some cracker from him.
Yep.
Steward.
That was Stewart? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He then Mudd speeches a bit here.
Okay. Mudd's speech is a fascinating look into like the civilians versus Starfleet discussion.
Sure. Yeah.
Like Mudd's perspective here is actually very interesting.
Yeah. So yep, he kind of goes on about how, they never always looking down our noses. Starfleet's always looking down their noses at civilians or whatever. But just then the Klingons bust in and haul Lorca away. They take Lorca away for interrogation. We get a quick dip back to Discovery, where Stamets, Burnham, and Tilly are trying to figure out a solution to the tardigrade issue. We technobabble here for a bit. I also had a side note of I can't believe we are still sticking with Ripper as the name for that thing.
Yeah,
It's so
I saw that
stupid.
too. I'm not a fan of the exposition here about the spore drive because, like, we already know all of this. Can we move
Right.
on? I don't know why
Yeah.
they spent like countable minutes talking about something they already established.
Yeah, so we Stamets eventually we get to the actual important point of information here, where Stamets describes how the issue is they need some type of biological intelligent being to be able to drive the spore drive, more or less, and they need to find another species who will go along with it.
Do you have some trivia here, Chris?
I didn't. I was in a rush earlier when I was doing this,
Okay.
so I didn't get too many trivia notes. So if you've got one, I was going to say Tilly then proceeds to drop an F-bomb, which I
Yes,
think is the
it's-
first time
It's
that's ever
the
happened.
very first time that an F-bomb
Yeah.
has ever been dropped in Star Trek.
Yeah. Which was very jarring when I
was.
heard it. I'm like,
It was.
Yeah.
because she's like, oh, I was fucking cool or whatever it was.
Yeah,
she
and
said.
Stamets is like, no, you're right, cadet. That is fucking cool, or whatever. Yeah.
They're like, we can curse now.
We could curse twice.
Mhm.
No more.
We then get back to the Klingon ship where L'Rell is interrogating Lorca in some type of bondage chair.
Interrogating, flirting, and there's some blurred lines here in the Klingon death camp.
Yeah. They kind of trade jabs. He pokes her about boinking a human. She proceeds to just pimp slap him in response.
Which, like,
Then,
Lorca, I don't know how normal universe Lorca was, but, like, I assume mirror universe Lorca is like, y'all's torture is fucking pathetic. Like, this is
right?
not-
Where's your chamber of pain?
your fucking agony booth or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, agony booth. Yeah. Then she puts some eye opener holder. I don't
Yeah.
know what the fuck you'd call that.
Actually, I found out what those are called literally today by listening to a separate podcast that has nothing to do with Star Trek. They are
And?
speculums.
What, like the thing for vaginas?
Correct?
I beg your finest pardon. No, they're not.
They are? Yes, because I guess a speculum is a medical device which holds open a sphincter.
It's not specifically for the vagina, huh?
Yeah, well,
No,
I mean, that
that's
is a
amazing.
vaginal speculum, but these are, I guess, some sort of eye-related speculums. But yes, the things that eye doctors hold your eye.
Ocular.
No, it's
Ocular,
not
yeah.
a speculum unless you have to keep scooting to the edge of the table. And they have to be cold. Are they
Yeah.
cold?
I've
it
never
looked
had
probably
one.
like they'd be cold. It was very
It
metal
was
looking.
metal,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got him trussed up like in Clockwork Orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I always imagine a Klingon ship is really warm. Like uncomfortably hot.
Well, Kronos is
Probably.
hot, right? Like it's like a
Yeah.
deserty kind of place.
Yeah. So yeah, she slams just high beams right into his eyes because
Okay.
she knows that he has light sensitive eyes.
But like, how long would that really hurt? Right? Like that's gonna hurt a lot at first, and then it's gonna be fine. Like this is not good torture.
Yeah, but we
I-
have this whole thing about how he has light sensitive eyes, so we got to use it.
We really gotta hammer that shit home.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I really don't like bright lights. Like it wouldn't. That would be legitimate torture for me.
Yeah. We get back to Discovery where Saru is getting ready to do some spore jumping. But Stamets has apparently turned off the spore drive. Saru proceeds to enter engineering very haughtily and gets mad that Burnham went behind his back and talked to Stamets after he told her to just let it go. Burnham then explains they have this magic DNA serum thing to basically inject and tardigrade DNA into whatever type of creature happens to be injected with it.
I like how the concept of this serum is so wicked illegal that Saru's like, how fucking dare you? Yet the ship just totally let them make this shit. Like,
Yeah. And then Saru then proceeds to yell at Burnham, saying this shit is what got her last captain killed. Which, I mean, 100% accurate.
Some good speeching back and forth here, basically.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. Eventually, Saru orders to get the tardigrade ready for jumping and for Burnham to be confined to quarters.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Their argument is against genetic manipulation of like a human, right?
Correct.
Didn't we find out, I don't know if it was in Voyager, I forget what series it was. Don't all of the like beings in the Alpha Quadrant all share a common ancestor?
That's TNG where they found that out.
Is it TNG? Okay.
Yeah. Weirdly, that is also the last season of this show.
Huh.
Because the precursors are like the central focus of the last season of this show as well.
I haven't watched any of that one.
It's not great.
Yeah. So yeah, we get back to the Klingon ship where Lorca grabs Mudd's like little spider steward and takes the listening device that was on it, because Mudd's been relaying information to the Klingons that he's heard. He then proceeds to fucking yeet that spider against the wall.
He's fucking Stewart up.
Poor Stewart.
Do you think he's called Stewart like Stuart Little?
Probably.
Driving like a little spider motorcycle or some shit?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Mudd then drops some knowledge he has about Lorca's last command. He's very well informed, this Mudd. Lorca says, he's like, oh, you've got it half right. I fucking blew him up. Because he was the last one living from his last command. The captain made it out, but none of the other crew did. And Lorca said, yeah, they were going to be captured by the Klingons, so I blew them up instead. So they didn't have to go through all that torture. Which, sure.
I guess that's a choice. I don't agree with it, but that is a choice.
Nope. Yeah.
Because it's like, obviously you were fucking strong enough to deal with it, so maybe somebody else on the ship was.
As we see later in this episode, all it takes is two guys to escape a Klingon ship.
It's really not that hard. Not that hard. Yeah.
Yep. Back on the Discovery, Saru orders a jump. The tardigrade has a very bad time.
This is just fucking depressing, as it's like, no, not the nipple clamps.
Yeah. And immediately collapses afterwards. It then expels all of the water from its body, just like shriveling up. It was very
My notes here are, oh no, Ripper, and then ew.
Yes, it enters cryptobiosis.
It gets rid of like a gallon or 2 gallons of water.
Yeah, it just splooshes all over the floor. It was very gross. Culber then, kind of explains what happened to the tardigrade to Saru. Saru's still like, I don't give a fuck. Put some water on that bitch. Get it rehydrated.
And this is where Saru's like, we have a duty to protect this life. And he's like, but I have 134 souls to protect today. It's like, the bitch, why are you risking them for one fuck? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Culber says he refuses to help, and Saru's like, I wasn't talking to you, bitch. Stamets is like, it's fine, I got it. I'll do it. We then get back to the Klingons, where we get another choose your pain. Lorca is about to pick Mudd when Tyler jumps in and says to choose him. Tyler then proceeds to get the shit beat out of him a little bit before he and Lorca turn the tables magically on two Klingon prison guards and snap their necks.
Right. Now, I will say, because we were just making fun of how easy it was to break out of Klingon prison, but like, if I recall correctly, this was orchestrated, correct?
Yes, yeah. This was like, it was their plan moving in to overtake the guards. Still, it's not like...
No. This was orchestrated by the Klingons.
Yeah.
That
right?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure...
This is how they get Ash on Disco.
This is how they get Ash basically re-infiltrated into Starfleet.
Yeah. So Tyler and Lorca escape, and Mudd's like, wait, take me with you. And they're both like, nah, dog. They leave him in the prison. And Mudd says, this isn't the last you'll hear from... I can never remember his first name.
His full... No, there's like 3 or 4 names involved.
Yeah.
It's like Octavius...
something...
Hardcore or something like that.
Mudd,
whatever. Anyway, they ignore his ass and they leave. My next note here was, God damn, disruptors are vicious in this.
Yeah,
Just fucking
because they've got the disruptors dialed up to convenient
fine mist.
no mess. Yeah.
No mess.
Although, like, I have this issue with the, like, my thing completely disintegrates stuff. It's like, okay, like, there's always the same thing where it's like, well, how come, like, it doesn't disintegrate the floor and shit as well?
Right.
Like,
Like,
all right,
how does it
fine.
know where it's
That's fine. Like, whatever. Like, maybe it's a floor, it's different or whatever.
But also, like,
it disintegrated the one dude who was holding another dude.
Yeah.
So, like, how does it know when to stop?
It's a smart disruptor. Shut up. So good thing the Klingons are coming in one at a time.
Yep. And they are also the shittiest shots. The Klingons are the worst shots.
Yeah, stormtrooper level. Tyler gets injured in some hand-to-hand combat. Was there another Batleth in this that immediately just guy died?
I don't remember a
Batleth.
I think there was a dagger at one point.
Was okay.
Yeah, because the one dude got because Lorca disintegrated the one dude who was holding Lorca or who was holding Ash. So I don't think he had a Batleth.
Yeah. So Tyler, however, his leg's injured or something. So he's like, leave me behind. And Lorca says, I'll come back for you. Immediately after that, L'Rell comes to find Tyler.
Shows up, is like, yo, I ain't done fucking you yet. What are you doing?
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much what she says.
Fortunately, she had her plot armor dialed to 11.
Yeah, it's all right. Eventually, Lorca comes back after they do some punching, and fires at L'Rell. Misses, but she
the
gets
first
splash.
shot he misses, by the way.
She gets splash damage though.
Yeah,
from the disruptor beam.
Yeah, it's just like, I guess, like, if you get hit straight up with this disruptor, you disintegrate all the way up to the ends of your fingertips, but then that stops. But if, like, the wall next to you, you just get a little bit of disintegration juice on you, it just kind of burns your face a bit.
Yeah. It was more than a little bit, to be fair. She was having a real.
She was screaming. The actor was apparently very proud of her scream in that moment, by the way.
Oh, really? That's funny.
She said she looked back at it later and was like, yeah, I fucking nailed that scream.
So then Lorca and Tyler escape, where we get a fun little CG chase scene with what do they call it? The Raiders or whatever they're in?
The little dragonfly ships. I find these to be, there's one of those moments where it's like, I know they're taking a lot of liberties with Star Trek and stuff,
right?
But Star Trek has never really done like the
fighters?
The single pilot fighter craft concept, and I'm not going to say you can't do new things in Star Trek. That's not the issue. The issue is that, like, it did feel very different. It felt
it felt very Star Wars.
Yeah.
I now I really want to see like a Starfleet carrier.
Starfleet wouldn't do that shit. Like, it's just not how they jive.
Yeah. So where was I? We do get one last title referencing of the episode here, where he's like, he says something about, because he's referring back to the blowing up his own ship, and he says, I chose my pain or whatever.
We do get a nice shot of comm officer Guapo as he or tactical
apparently
or whatever.
Apparently the eye thing, his eye sensitivity thing, is from the destruction of his ship somehow. I don't know exactly how that works. But
I don't believe that. So I think that is his cover story.
Is that what it is? Okay.
His eye sensitivity is because he's from the mirror universe, and for whatever reason, Soul is dimmer there.
Gotcha. Yeah. I do remember that now. Yeah, now that you mention that. Discovery is apparently where they are now. I don't remember hearing how that happened. They just happened to jump there, I guess.
Yeah, no, they jumped there when the tardigrade disintegrated, like bio-Cretaceous or whatever the fuck. They that's close enough. They were jumping here. That's where they were going. Yeah.
Okay. So Saru is kind of analyzing this little chase that he sees happening, because they, it's inferred that they think they're just Klingon ships at first, and then he's like, oh, it's prey. I thought this was kind of hokey dialogue that didn't need to be
It was
there,
it was a little hokey. They could have just shown like the one Klingon shooting at the other one and being like, "That's
Right.
weird," and called it a day. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they radio the ship that's being chased, and Lorca answers, and then Discovery beams him and Tyler on board. They then jump away. Saru kind of calls down, or no, I forgot. That's right.
Yeah.
Saru then asks if they're ready to jump to Stamets, where Stamets cryptically then responds,
We are able to jump, Commander. Oh yeah, because Saru asked like, "Is the tardigrade ready?"
Right.
And
yeah.
Stamets goes, "We are able to jump, Commander." It's like, yeah, that was natural sounding. That sounded. Fine.
Yeah. So after the jump, Saru kind of radios to Stamets to compliment him on a job well done.
Saru's like, "Very nicely done, engineer of commander, Stamets, whatever, lieutenant or whatever." And he's like, "That was really good. That was great." And then he's like, "Hey, you didn't say thank you for the clear compliment I gave you. Is everything okay down there?"
So yeah, they proceed down to engineering, where Stamets is in the chamber on the ground with puncture holes in his chest.
Yeah, he
from
clamped
the prongs.
himself. Yep.
Yeah, where he DNA'd himself.
I feel like the stabby probe interface would be a little more specialized for the tardigrade. It wouldn't just work on any other motherfucker who happens to have the right DNA juice in them.
He's got tardigrade DNA now. Shut up.
All right.
So yeah, Stamets isn't dead though. He does seem a bit loopy. But
dude, the
he's
laugh.
Alive. Yeah.
The laugh was great.
So after that, Saru goes to see Burnham in her quarters.
Get some speeching.
We get some speeching. We get a gold permission to speak freely.
Up, man. I've literally in my notes. Permission to speak freely, man. Shut the fuck up.
I know you hate it so much.
So dumb.
Burnham asks why Saru is afraid of her. He says he isn't afraid. He's just angry and jealous because, he views it as her stealing his opportunity to be mentored by Giorgio, because the plan was for, Burnham to get promoted and become her own captain, and then Saru would fill that mentor-mentee slot with Giorgio. And he never got that chance because, Giorgio died.
Because she killed her, yeah.
So they kind of had this nice heart-to-heart moment, and Burnham gifts Saru Giorgio's telescope, which is just very sweet.
Yeah, the first thing she does with a gift from a dead woman is re-gift it.
Shut up! It was sentimental. Saru then asks Burnham to help save the tardigrade's life, which apparently involves just dumping some spores on it and shooting it right out into space.
Yeah, just firing it into space. I have a question though.
Okay.
What's it rehydrating with out in space?
Shut the fuck up. That's what.
Oh, okay. That's why. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it works. It works a treat.
Yes, it
and
does.
he fucking spore jumps right the fuck out of there.
I hated the tardigrade whoosh effect because it was so fucking stupid. Like, if it had just vanished, fine, but it like zips off into the distance. It's like, shut the fuck up.
So yeah. I have a related question. When Disco makes its spore jumps, why is it that it has like a downward velocity and then it settles?
Because it looks cool
after the jump.
Because
it's a transitional video effect. It's dumb as shit, but it's fine. It also does a little pirouette for some fucking reason.
It does.
Yep. Because it's cool. Shut up. We end the episode with a nice little relationship scene here between Culber and Stamets, where we do finally get the confirmation that they are indeed together. They're there in the bathroom just brushing the Sonic brush. I guess it would be Sonic toothbrush.
I don't know.
On it.
It's just a fucking whatever toothbrush. Although Dr. Dreamy barely brushes his teeth.
Yeah. But Stamets explains, his experience with the spore drive and how amazing it was. And swears he feels okay, but then we get a really fucking creepy kind of not ghost him, but like mirror image of him just hanging out in the mirror after he walks away. That was pretty fun.
It was
great.
I don't understand the point of it, knowing where this goes. There's kind of it's like the sweating walls. It's like a thing. It's like a very lost moment. Like
it just happened.
They're just gonna throw some shit in there, like, oh, this will tease everybody, but it doesn't actually end up mattering at all.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Well, as I said, that wraps up the episode. On a scale of 1 to 5, where 0 is threshold or whatever that fucking episode was called from TNG. I keep wanting to say Shades of Grey, but that's not.
That's correct. No, that is actually that's 100% correct.
Oh, Shades of Grey. Okay. Where are we at?
I give this one a 3. Still enjoying the ride. This one felt like an episode that was being used to set up a lot of future episodes. And
Yeah, I don't disagree.
What was that?
I said I don't disagree.
Yeah, like I see where they were going, but there wasn't like a ton of really fun payoff like there has been the last couple.
Sure. So you said 3. What about you, Stanford?
I'm also leaning 3, kind of a lower 3, but still in the 3 range. I agree that like it feels like it's setting things up, but I do think that like in some ways it did an okay job with that. It did a good job showing like how the relationship works between the Admiral and Lorca, and I think that's not only important for the story, but it's actually nice to see. And Mud was fun. I think they did a fine job planting Ash believably into the story in a way that like later is going to be kind of a twist. So yeah, it was fine. It was a 3.
Yeah. I'm on the same. I'm gonna be boring. It's just a 3. It was there were some fun bits. It wasn't particularly interesting in a lot of points, but it was fine. It was a 3.
IMDb also gave it a 3.
Look at that. We all agree. How many times has that happened?
In this show, actually a fair amount.
When we come back, we will do a little deep dive on cryptobiosis. Welcome back, everybody. So as I mentioned before the break, going to talk about cryptobiosis for a bit, which is a real, like, scientific thing. And this is what they referred to the tardigrade going through when it kind of dehydrated itself. Cryptobiosis is a state of extreme inactivity in response to adverse environmental conditions. In the cryptobiotic state, all metabolic procedures stop, preventing reproduction, development, and repair. In cryptobiosis, an organism can live almost indefinitely while it waits for environmental conditions to become better. The most common type of cryptobiosis, or at least most well known, is anhydrobiosis, or desiccation and drying out, which is what was demonstrated in this episode. Although,
right, yeah,
certainly extreme levels in this episode. But
I have read and watched 3 Body Problems, so I'm very familiar with the water one.
Yeah. So examples of organisms with cryptobiotic desiccation include nematodes.
Nematodes.
Nematodes. I was mincing my words there. Also known as roundworms, brine shrimp. You mean
sea monkeys?
Yes, sea monkeys. Yep. Correct. The majority of plant seeds. Also something called the resurrection plant, which is Craterostigma plantageneum. Hope I said that right. And many microorganisms, including yeast.
Okay, I have several questions.
Yep.
1, the brine shrimp. Do they do that naturally, or did we do that to them?
No, they do that. They can do that naturally. So they're aquatic crustaceans that live in salty lakes worldwide. As you mentioned, they are also referred to as sea monkeys and sold in pet stores. They have the ability to produce dormant eggs, known as cysts, when conditions are unfavorable. I know, gross, right? So like low levels of oxygen or high salinity. Cysts are metabolically inactive and can survive dry, oxygen-free conditions, even at temperatures below freezing. They can also survive boiling temperatures as well, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeast, as I mentioned before, is another example of this. Active dry yeast is a form of baker's yeast.
Well, hold on. I have a very important follow-up.
Okay.
Did y'all have sea monkeys?
I never had sea monkeys, no.
I did.
Yeah, me too, baby. Sea monkeys were fun for about 3 weeks, and then their tank gets gross.
Gross. But yeah, so active dry yeast is a form of baker's yeast. It's commonly used as a leavening agent in baking. It consists of live yeast cells encapsulated in a thick jacket of dry, dead cells with some growth medium. Under most conditions, active dry yeast must be first rehydrated before it'll actually, do its yeasty things and allow the dough to rise. Yeast can be stored at room temperature for a year or kept in the refrigerator or freezer for more than a decade.
Yes.
And it'll still be good.
Pro tip. All right, because I do a lot of baking.
Mm-hmm.
Active dry yeast can be used by putting it straight into the dough because the hydrating effect of the water and stuff in the mixture will do that thing where it'll reactivate the yeast. But if you want it to work a little better, it's better to bloom the yeast first.
Mm-hmm.
But the extra benefit to blooming is to make sure your yeast is still good, because eventually your jar of yeast will just die.
Yeah, right. So the last kind of creature example I gave here is obviously what is in macro size in this episode, which is tardigrades. They're also known as water bears, or I heard this name in this article I read, and I had never heard this before, but moss piglets. Have either of you heard that term before?
I have actually heard them called piglets. I didn't know about the moss part.
Moss piglets, apparently, yeah.
Yeah, well, moss is the easiest place to find tardigrades, as I understand it.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Also, I don't know if you've seen pictures of real tardigrades, but they do look like little pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bear thing is actually the confusing one.
Yeah.
But
I guess their claws look kind of bear-like.
Yeah, they're microscopic aquatic animals. Fully grown adult tardigrades have 8 legs and are about 0.5 millimeters long. To date, more than 1,000 species of tardigrades have been discovered from all over the world, including from high on Himalayan mountain peaks to the abyssal depths of the sea.
How different?
Rainforest, Antarctica, all over basically.
How different are the different tardigrade species?
That's an excellent question that I don't know the answer to.
Because they look like there's not a lot of opportunity to be very different when you're that tiny little thing that's got one body plan,
Right.
Are they the smallest animals? That's a thing, right?
I think so, yeah. I think that's correct. But as was outlined here, they have the ability to fall into cryptobiosis for almost 10 years at a time, which allows them to survive, extreme conditions like temperature, pressure, dehydration, and even radiation. Apparently, around 2004, as far as anhydrobiosis is concerned, they had looked into it to being applied to vaccines that basically produce a dry vaccine that reactivates once it's injected into the body.
Cool.
In theory, the dry vaccine technology could be used on any vaccine, including live vaccines such as the one for measles, or potentially be adapted to allow a kind of a slow release, eliminating the need for boosters. I could not find a ton of more information on this, even though it did sound very interesting.
I'm not sure. Okay, hold on. Now I'm not so cool. So you're gonna inject me with a bunch of little water bears, and then they're gonna rehydrate over the course of years to keep vaccinating me from shit.
I think that's generally the theory was, yeah.
That's fucking wild.
But
do you think they have little doctor hats with the big mirror on them and stuff?
I think the proposal was mainly to make them more widely able to be stored, because there's a lot of refrigeration and power usage for keeping vaccines good, and that would obviously increase their shelf life, and you wouldn't have to keep them refrigerated and all that stuff. So, I have not been able to find any more information on it, but I thought it was an interesting note. There is other types of cryptobiosis besides the anhydrobiosis. There is anoxybiosis, which is in situations lacking oxygen. Tardigrades and many other cryptobionts take in water and become turgid and immobile, but can survive for prolonged periods of time.
Sorry, I'm a fucking teenager. I'm going to giggle at turgid. That's
some ectothermic vertebrates, and some invertebrates such as brine shrimps, copepods, nematodes, and sponge gemmules, which I had never heard of before, are capable of surviving in seemingly inactive state during anoxic conditions for months to even decades. Studies of this metabolic activity of these idling organisms during anoxia have been mostly inconclusive because it's difficult to measure very small degrees of metabolic activity reliably enough to prove a cryptobiotic state rather than ordinary metabolic rate depression.
That's what I've always been saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of experts are skeptical of the biological feasibility of anoxibiosis, as the organism is managing to prevent damage to its cellular structures from environmental negative free energy, despite being both surrounded by plenty of water and thermal energy, and without using any free energy of its own. So yeah, it's apparently less well known than anhydrobiosis. There is also cryobiosis, which is a form of cryptobiosis that takes place in reaction to decreased temperature. It begins when the water surrounding the organism's cells has been frozen, stopping molecule mobility, allowing the organism to endure the freezing temperatures until more hospitable conditions return. Organisms capable of enduring these conditions typically feature molecules that facilitate freezing of water in preferential locations, while also prohibiting the growth of large ice crystals that could otherwise damage the cells. But apparently, creatures like lobsters do this, as well as nematodes.
Yeah, you gotta turn off your external or your internal valve going out to the external tap, but then turn on the external tap so it can drain out, so you don't
So,
get
like,
crystals.
How does an animal like a lobster manage that? Because, like, when water freezes, it expands.
Uh-huh.
But they have shells
Yep.
that famously, are rigid.
Yep.
Well, how much of a lobster's biological processes are water?
Hmm.
Because, like, as
I
I
mean-
understand it, and I could be wrong, because I'm often wrong, but like, as I understand it, the reason that the human body and other animals are so largely composed of water is because we're no longer in the ocean, so we had to bring the ocean with us. So I'm
That
wondering
is-
if, like, animals, especially more primitive body planned animals in the ocean, actually have a smaller internal water, like, composition because they're just surrounded by water all the time.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting thought.
Because I know that, like, the salinity of the human, like, body water is, like, exactly the same as, like, the general salinity of the Earth's oceans.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Interesting. There was a couple other types of cryptobiosis that were mentioned, although I found virtually no information on these. Chemobiosis, which is a cryptobiotic response to high levels of environmental toxins, which apparently has been observed in tardigrades. And osmobiosis, which occurs in response to increased solute concentrations in the solution that the organism lives in. But apparently little is known for certain on this, other than it appears to involve the cessation of the metabolism. Just a little look into cryptobiosis. I find it fascinating. What like tardigrades in general are just fascinating creatures in their ability to basically live anywhere.
They found them in the vacuum of space.
Yeah,
like they
it's
hitched
crazy.
rides on rockets.
Insane. Just insane.
Yeah, well, fucking freeloaders.
All right. Well, that wraps up this deep dive. When we come back, we'll do a little potpourri.
All right, welcome back, everybody. For potpourri this week, I'm stealing an idea of a different podcast that I was listening to. It's slightly restructuring it, but I thought it would be a fun little mental exercise here. I would like to hear from the two of you, and I have something prepped too. If you could bring a single item back from the Star Trek universe into our reality, what would you bring and why?
So, what are the rules for this? Like, are we talking? Is there size limitations? Like, what are we talking here?
Nope, you get to bring back one thing.
Oh, Well, Chris, you just want to bring back a fucking spaceship? Like it's got all the shit on it, right?
I was gonna say, spaceship. I'll bring the goddamn Enterprise back. Fuck yeah.
Get a sovereign class bitch up here. We got holodecks, got replicators, got everything we need.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was thinking like replicator, holodeck. No, just take the whole goddamn ship.
Fuck yeah. This reminds me, before we get started here, this reminds me of when I asked John's kids this question, and Sam was like a phaser, so I could hold up people for their money.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
But what was he holding them up for? The money?
He needed money so he could buy a bunch of video games so that he could then guilt trip his dad into buying him a new computer because he would have so many video games that he needed to play on the new computer.
So update on the
just
story.
Buy the new computer.
Update on the story. He does have a computer now.
So it worked. Joke's on us. So when I was like, well, why don't you just hold somebody up to get a new computer? He's like, that's not fun enough. So he's more ready for the thrill of the game.
Sure. Makes sense, yeah.
All right, so I'm assuming like that is against the spirit to just take a whole fucking spaceship back. So
when you guys said size, I thought you meant like
size of the individual thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my gut. I'm gonna go first, Chris. So fuck you.
Yeah, go.
My gut is always like replicator, because like I don't know, having the ability to make whatever I want to basically solve like scarcity as an issue that anyone has to deal with seems too good of a thing to pass up. And my philosophy is also like, well, if we could solve scarcity, then we could probably invent all the other shit pretty easily because like what else we got to do, right? So I would lean towards replicator.
Yeah, that's my initial thought too, as well. Honestly,
well, I already took that one. Yeah,
since you already said it, I'll go with holodeck because fucking it's awesome. I mean, come on,
it is awesome. I don't like. I know I shit on holodeck episodes, but not because the holodeck itself is not cool. I would fucking love a holodeck.
So awesome. Be fucking Barkley up in that bitch. It's always there.
So,
oh my god, yeah, I'd be so addicted to that fucking holodeck. Like it wouldn't even be a fucking question. It's like, is holodeck addiction a thing? Yeah, then Stanford's got it. Like he's fucking addicted to that.
Absolutely,
bitch.
Yeah.
Gonna learn how to program holodecks like Tom Harris.
Have y'all seen? I don't know what the clip is from, but have y'all seen that like British actor who like thinks the ship has a holodeck and goes in and announces his like
talks about getting railed by Fuda girls and whatnot.
It's like Bryce Dallas Howard and shit. Like holy fuck, it's like yes, exactly. That's exactly what people would use the holodeck for.
100%.
So it's funny. I was also originally thinking about the replicator, but I had some questions about how it's used. Do you have to like supply it with stuff?
So
my understanding is it creates matter out of energy.
Yeah, I'm going to do a Stanford Gets Technical on the replicator probably pretty soon because I've also the short answer to the question is generally as a hand wavy thing, it's just energy. But the replicator has been used to suggest that like at points in the Star Trek history, it did take actual matter and stuff. And also, like, I don't know, on Voyager, they talk about breaking things down in order to give the right kind of energy to the replicator. So, like, although I was also under the impression that, like, replicators take a lot of power. So, therefore, like on a ship, those power stores are limited. But planets in the Star Trek universe effectively have infinite power because they're just using solar and fusion and shit because they don't have like space constrictions. So like planet-based replicators don't seem to have any kind of issues. So that answer is not entirely consistent even within Star Trek.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, I went with a medical tricorder.
I said that actually when you had texted earlier, that was the other thing I had thought of outside of the two obvious answers of holodeck and replicator.
Yeah. Like
medical tricorder to me is like, well, we can see 17 things wrong with you. Can't do shit about them yet, but there they are.
But like, think about it though. You could perform any medical diagnostics non-invasively.
Yeah.
like blood work, tissue scans, DNA testing, anything you want.
Yeah, not to mention accuracy.
Right.
Do
I
you-
think a lot of people don't realize how inaccurate medical diagnosis is these
Sure.
days.
Yeah.
Do you worry at all? And not like that any of these things don't have downsides, but do you worry at all about privacy when you think about stuff like a medical tricorder?
No, I'm not worried about that at all.
Whoop, okay, well, never mind. Fuck it. Because how many times
mean,
are people
you
just
work
like
for Facebook?
surreptitiously scanned?
I would absolutely be worried about it because, like, I don't know, man. People make mistakes all of the time, and you're right. Like, you could just walk up to somebody and just like wave this thing at them and be like, "Oh, look at that! You have AIDS." Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I guess it takes HIPAA to a whole new fucking level when anyone with a goddamn tricorder can not only know everything that's wrong with you, but also your entire DNA sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, it goes back to like that conversation we were having towards the beginning of Enterprise about just scanning random ships that you happen across.
Yeah.
Like, what right
There's
do you
actually-
have to do that?
I think there is still ongoing an X Prize for a tricorder. Did that
sorry?
sentence make any sense?
No.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the specific thing you're talking about, but I got it from the context.
Okay. X Prize is this concept. I think there was one originally X Prize. I don't remember what it was prizing, but X Prize is this concept where someone offers up a bounty of $1 million or $10 million or whatever to the first person who can create X, right? And sorry, I used X as in insert thing here. I don't mean that's why they call it X Prize. But basically I think there's a current ongoing X Prize of a million or a couple $1 million to the first person who can come up with a reasonable facsimile of a tricorder concept. I believe that is how that Theranos woman started, that fucking grifter who Elizabeth Holmes, who lied to everyone and was a complete piece of shit. But I believe that all started with the tricorder X Prize.
Interesting.
All right. Well, short and sweet this week.
Wait, there's a fourth person here.
Oh yeah, Mariah, what would you bring back?
I don't know.
We already took the good one, so you get to do
Yeah, I was
whatever
gonna say
you want.
we took the obvious one, so you got to come up with something good now.
Bring back a tribble.
God no.
I
I
have no
wonder how
idea.
they taste. They could probably solve a lot of food problems with this.
Yeah, that's true.
I have
We
no
already
idea
solved
because
the
I'm
food
not.
problems
I'm
with the
not going
replicator.
into space.
That's fair.
Is there something cool I can have on Earth?
Mariah's like, I'm bringing back a torpedo so I can blow up all the spaceships. No one goes to space. It's bullshit.
I can't even watch Google or look at Google Earth. I can't handle it.
That's really bad.
Does it give you
Vertigo.
megalophobia? Is it just vertigo? Okay.
And I'm so uncomfortable. So maybe it's megalophobia. I don't know. It's so uncomfortable. The thought of going into space or my basement, I can't do it.
Oh yeah, next week I'll tell you all about our power surge.
Fried all of your appliances.
It was interesting. Well, thanks, honey.
All right. Like Chris mentioned at the top of the pod, please remember to rate, review, subscribe, click the like button, tell your friends, tell your enemies. We will catch you next week with another episode of Discovery.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.